I apologize. We're going to interrupt our conversation with Bobby Ghosh to take you live now to Norwich Walk, Maine. Officials are announcing the capture of a man accused of killing a sheriff's deputy. Let's listen in.
200 law enforcement officers have been focused on finding the man that killed Corporal Eugene Cole. My first call was to the Cole family, and I personally notified them of the arrest. They were relieved, thankful, and very grateful. I want to thank the 28 federal, state, county, municipal law enforcement officers who responded to Somerset County for this event and that helped us resolve this situation. I want to thank the citizens of Somerset County for their patience and their understanding. I also want to thank those businesses and the residents who came forward and offered us food, refreshment, and emotional support throughout this operation. Words fail us as we try to express our gratitude. It really is a tribute to Corporal Cole. Our energy have been focused on and we're bolstered throughout this operation by our memories of Corporal Cole. Had another officer been the victim of this case, we knew Gene would have been here every day, bringing his best effort to apprehend the suspect. He would have been proud of our efforts. At this point, the manhunt is done. As an agency, the Somerset County Sheriff's Office now has the opportunity to pause and grieve for the loss of our friend and our colleague, Gene Cole. We can now focus on the important task of respectfully laying our fallen brother to rest. Tonight, the citizens of Somerset County can sleep well, know that a dangerous man has been taken off the streets. Thank you very much for your support. Colonel Cody.
Good afternoon. Starting with the initial response on Wednesday and deployment of law enforcement, we were confident that we'd been able to contain the suspect in a large wooded area near Bear Mountain and Lost Brook, west of Route 139 in Norwich Walk. Each day we assembled teams from federal, state, local, and county agencies to slowly and methodically search the difficult terrain. Each day moving, searching for evidence and any signs of movement by the suspect. They searched very difficult terrain and all the while had to be on guard for the continuing threat presented by Mr. Williams. Several times teams encountered critical evidence and discovered signs of activity, leading us to continue with the belief that we had him contained in this area. Each day we covered more ground and set target ground to cover the next day. This morning, one of our teams was able to locate John D. Williams outside a small remote camp in the area of Lost Brook. In a testament to the teamwork that has been evident throughout this case, the 7-man capture team was comprised of members of the Maine Warden Service, the Maine State Police, the Fairfield, Maine Police Department, and the FBI. Williams was checked briefly by EMS, transported to the Waterville Police Department for questioning, and will then be transported to the Maine Correctional Center in Windham. And that's where he will remain pending a court date, which we anticipate will happen at the first of the week. Further information regarding his court date and further processing through the system should be directed through the Attorney General's office. This is the third multi-day manhunt that I've been involved in the last 4 years, and I can say the commitment, selfless determination, and teamwork that was displayed during this case is unmatched. And while the most visible component of this case is done, the manhunt, for the Major Crimes Unit detectives, much of their work is just beginning. I want to address a photograph that has been circulating that was taken by the arrest team. At the time of the capture, the arrest team needed to take that photograph to confirm the ID of the person they had in custody and return that photograph to the Incident Command Center. The suspect would not facilitate in displaying his face for that photograph to be taken, so we had to facilitate that. Subsequent to that arrest, he was checked by EMS, was uninjured, and was transported by law enforcement. Thank you.
Questions? When you guys arrested him, was he armed? Did you put up a fight? How did that all go down?
We won't talk in detail, except the fact that he did give limited resistance. The further detail, around that will come out at a later date.
Was he hiding? Did he come out with arms up?
Yeah. Again, those types of things. We located him just outside of camp.
Was he armed?
Again, we're not going to talk about that at this time.
Is he talking to you now, explaining any of this?
Yeah. Again, what statements that he makes, anything like that, we would not talk about.
Can you say some of the things that you found along the way that shored up your belief that he was in that area?
I can talk. I won't talk about evidence, but I can talk that throughout the week we found tracks that appeared to be fresh, and just continued to confirm our fact that we had him contained in that area.
Can you say any more at this point about the incident itself on Wednesday, about what led to that?
No, I think you're going to find that there will be times when that information comes out throughout the process, but this is not the time for those details to yet be released.
Was he naked at the time?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Did he have items with him that were helping him survive?
Again, those are all things that we'll determine through conversations with him, and those will be shared at a certain point, but today's not the day.
Had he been contacting anybody while he was missing?
Again, those are details that will come out later.
He'll be charged through state charges. There's no possibility of federal charge for anything.
I'm not sure again, that'd be a question for the Attorney General's office.
In terms of the previous manhunts, can you explain a little bit more about what your team did in comparison to someone like Robert Burke?
Yeah, I think in this case, from day one, we approached this manhunt as if it could go for a long time. We knew to establish the command structure, the teamwork from the very beginning, and in other cases, sometimes we hadn't established that structure until several days in. So learning from those earlier cases, we decided within the first few hours we had the right people plugged in, clear roles and objectives for everybody that were part of that team, and basically plugging people into their strengths, and using the idea that no one of us is as smart as all of us, and really working well together.
Can you say some more about the actual arrest this morning? This was a 7-person team, one of several that were combing that area of woods, correct?
Yes.
And did they know that camp was there, and they were sneaking up on it essentially? Or?
That was one of the camps that team was assigned to check as they moved through the area. We were aware of the camp, and that was part of their assigned check area, was to clear that camp.
And they spotted him outside?
As they were approaching and preparing to clear that camp, they encountered him outside the camp.
And took him down at gunpoint?
And took him into custody.
As you found him near the camp, is there any evidence that he sheltered anywhere but in the woods during this manhunt?
Again, that's going to be under, something we determine. I believe they are preparing a search warrant to search that camp that he was immediately found outside of. And again, it's a matter of slowing down, making sure we're doing things right. So, some of those questions, again, will come out eventually, those answers, but we can't talk in specific about everything today.
And just again, for folks at home who might just be tuning in, could you say the name of the camp again where he was captured?
I don't know that it has a name, but it was a camp that was located in the area of Lost Brook off the west side of Route 139 in Norwich Walk.
How far is that from where the cruiser was found abandoned?
I couldn't give you that information. I'm not sure.
It's been reported that he was seen being taken down the driveway from a house in Fairfield, 807 North Walk Road. Was that just sort of the closest area where he could have left and got into a car?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that information. I'm not sure.
Sheriff, you told us how the whole family was feeling at the news. How are you feeling? How are your deputies feeling today?
So I can tell you that I am extremely relieved that we have Williams in custody. I am extremely saddened by the death of my deputy, and I can tell you those feelings are not only shared by myself, but by my own deputies, and all of law enforcement. The outpouring of support from not only law enforcement but also the community has been like I've never seen before.
Have you spoken with Cole's family, and how are they doing following this news?
So again, as I stated earlier, that they're extremely grateful for the efforts. They're relieved that we now have the person that killed Gene, in custody.
We heard that the man was arrested with using Corporal Cole's handcuffs. Can you explain why that was the case?
We did use Corporal Cole's handcuffs. I felt that it was fitting where he killed my deputy, Corporal Gene Cole, and he was brought to justice using Cole's handcuffs.
Obviously, this is a story that really has garnered national attention. What do you want to say to folks who may be watching and they don't know who Eugene Cole was or the kind of man that he was?
He was an outstanding officer. He paid attention to detail. He really was epitomized community policing before there was community policing. The part of the outpour that we've had in this community is because of Gene's interaction with the people here. He was part of this community. He was their deputy sheriff.
You said that there had been tracks or evidence leading you to believe in these last few days that he was in the area. Can you tell us more about the evidence and tracks?
So as the colonel has stated, this investigation is just starting up for major crimes, and we don't. Number one, we don't have all the information right now, and number two, it would be inappropriate to talk about what we have for evidence.
When Williams was taken into custody, was it made aware to him the handcuffs that were being used on him?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Colonel Cody, at this point, does this become principally a state police case because it's a homicide?
It does, yeah. Major Crimes Unit becomes primary on the homicide investigation, and that's why I'm also saying, you know, as is typical, now that we have the suspect in custody, really further releases will come from the Attorney General's office rather than from our uniformed personnel.
And getting back again to the arrest, I want to just clarify what was said. Did Williams, did he surrender when the law enforcement was there? Did he try to run, offer any resistance? Was he taken down by force?
Yeah, he offered limited resistance. And was taken into custody. That's what all.
And then the photo you referenced, that was because he wasn't cooperating to have the picture taken?
Yeah, basically he was in a prone position. We needed to take a facial picture. He would not raise his head to the camera, so we simply raised his head so we could take a picture and get it back to confirm his identity.
You said that he was checked by EMS. Was he, I mean, can you describe anything about the state in which you found him?
No, I was not there, so I cannot. But I know that it's normal for us to have somebody checked out by EMS to make sure that they're good to go before we transport them.
So no hospital visit necessary?
No, not at all, no.
Will he go to Wyndham tonight?
I believe once he is finished with questioning or whatever will occur, that he will be, probably by the end of the evening, he will be in Wyndham.
So he's currently being held at the Waterville Police Department?
Yeah, the most recent I know is that he was at Waterville Police Department, where we were hoping to interview him.
And are any members of your capture team here?
I believe some are being interviewed at this time by Major Crimes Unit, but I do not believe all of them are still here, and probably they would not be available to you today if that's what you're hoping for, until they're interviewed by Major Crimes.
How important was the collaboration between all of these different agencies?
We would not be standing here today without it. I don't care how far they traveled, what agency they represented. Everyone that arrived here in Norwich Walk said, "What can I do? What can I do?" They came with no conditions. They came with no idea that any role was below them or their capabilities. Whatever we asked, they were more than happy to assist us. And without that attitude by everyone involved, probably we would not be here right now.
I know there's little you can say, but everybody still wants to know why. Why was Corporal Cole killed? Can you tell us any more about a possible motive here?
I would love to be able to tell you that. I don't know the outcome of the interview, and that will come out in the future. We'll be sure to be able to provide you that. But as of today, we don't know, and it would be inappropriate to comment on it right now.
Is anyone else being charged in connection with this particular incident?
Yeah. At this point, no one else is in custody. And again, as we get more facts, as we are able to work with prosecutors, they'll make those types of decisions about the level of charges and if additional charges are laid against anyone.
Off of that, you're speaking with there's a lot of confidence as to this being the person as opposed to just the suspect. Is there something that you've already collected, or is there a reason as to why you are convinced that it is him, that you're referring to him that way?
Yeah, I think there was nothing that ever pointed to anyone else.
Were the officers wearing body cameras when they arrested him?
No. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sheriff, anything?
Nope. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you for your support.
We've been listening in about the end of a 4-day manhunt in Maine. An accused police killer was arrested. That was a press conference just now, and they confirmed that the late deputy who was killed, his handcuffs were ultimately used in the arrest. Police would not confirm if, in fact, the man arrested did, in fact, have a weapon. They said they don't want to disclose that at this time. We're going to continue to monitor this story. A lot of developing news this afternoon. Stick with us. We've got more. You're streaming CBSN.